I was always overweight. Yeah, like you can even see it from the photos where I'm like 5 years old, that I was a chubby kid. And I never experienced any joy from physical activity because I was never any good at it. Hi, my name is Gina. I come from Norway. I'm 29 years old and I'm a powerlifter. I've been powerlifting for 5 years on and off, and I'm on the national team with the Norwegian squat record. And yeah, that's my lifting life, at least.
So what kind of got you into that life?
Well, it all started in 2012 when I was 20 years old. I was very overweight, and I had been all my life and never found any joy in physical activity or anything. So just basically very unhealthy, unhappy. Then I decided to make a change. So I joined a gym, started a diet, and things just went from there. I guess fell in love with the process, learning, growing.
So when you were a kid, you never really got into like sports or anything like that?
Never, nothing. I was always overweight. Yeah, like you can even see it from the photos where I'm like 5 years old, that I was a chubby kid. And I never experienced any joy from physical activity because I was never any good at it. So when we had a gym or when we went hiking, which is huge in Norway, it was just letdown after letdown because I couldn't do it and I felt horrible, and people were like watching, and like, when you fail at something, you don't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, sports, I know here, in America, sports are just such a big part, maybe a little bit less now than it used to be, but such a big part of like growing up, going outside, hanging out with your friends. Is that kind of how it was there a little bit? And then if it was, did it kind of like make you feel almost a little bit, not like an outcast, but a little bit separate from the other kids in a way?
I come from a very small town with like literally 200 people who live there. So I was never really an outcast like that because we were so few people in our class that it was us or no one, kind of. But sports were definitely a big part, like skiing and hiking in Norway. That's like the two big things, and soccer or football, as we say. But I never did any of that. And when you come from such a small town, it's also not a lot of places where you can go and do those things unless you can drive or put a lot of time and effort into it. And since I didn't want to and never found any joy in that, then it just never happened. I never tried anything, never did anything. Just gym at school, and that was horrible. So
I think a lot of kids have that similar experience with kind of growing up and going to gym class and feeling kind of awkward about the situation. I don't know, even to an extent where people who might be a little bit more athletic or a little bit more enjoy that kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel like gym class can sometimes be that place where everybody kind of gets a little self-conscious.
yeah, and that's the horrible part, because the whole reason to have a gym class is to let the kids experience like joy in physical activity and teach us how to use our bodies and what to do for both fun and to stay healthy. But most of the time, the people who decide what you're supposed to do are the people who loved having gym. So you always do the same things, the same activities that are beneficial or easy for the athletic kids, and never for us who, like, if you struggle with physical activity and you don't find joy in it, I think gym class is maybe like the worst place to find that, because and there's always that comparing yourself to other people, and everyone is watching you, like, go run and jump over that thing, and then 20 other people are standing there like, yeah, haha, she can't do that. I mean, like, who wants to do that? No one.
So growing up, you didn't have kind of like a physical or a sporting interest. What did you do for fun?
Played video games. I hung out with friends, and when you got a bit older and then you started drinking, going out, like, I never had any hobby or anything that was just something to spend most of my time doing. I mean, I love dancing, And I've been dancing all my life, which was the closest thing to physical activity. But then it was always like me controlling what I was doing, or my sister was the teacher since it was a small town. And so I guess dancing is the closest thing to something that would be a sport or a physical activity for me. But other than that, just normal kid things.
You mentioned that you kind of like went into the gym and started this different lifestyle. What was kind of the propeller? What pushed that into your mind of being like even becoming an option?
I call it a power moment, and I still use that phrase a lot in my like even now at trainings. Like when you want something, or when there's something in the back of your mind that you really want to do, you just have to wait for that power moment where you feel like, fuck it, I'm going to do this shit right now. And that's what I do right before a big lift too. I stand there until I feel that power moment of just like, go for it. And that was the same thing. I remember that night very clearly in 2012, like sitting on the couch, unhappy, unhealthy, just in general, not where I imagined myself at the age of 21. So I just got up and I went into the kitchen and I did that standard thing where you throw out all the carbs and all the sugary things. And I sat down, I joined a gym online, and I was just like, tomorrow I go low carb and I start to go to the gym. And I just kind of went all in overnight, which is not something I would recommend doing today, because when you change your entire lifestyle overnight, you're gonna want to fall back into your old routines pretty fast if you're too strict. But that's a different story. And then I just started 30 minutes on the treadmill and then 30 minutes around on all these random machines everywhere, you know, those like pull downs and the things that weren't hard to figure out for someone who has never moved physically voluntarily their entire life. You just had to like follow the instructions on the machine and do your thing.
Was that experience, the first real experience going into the gym, was that challenging for you? I know for a lot of people, just going to the gym and seeing other people and them thinking, or you thinking that they were maybe judging you or something. Was there any like emotions as far as just going to the gym?
I'm very driven by my willpower and like my decisions. So when I decide something, that's basically what's going to happen. And that's what I did with the gym. So I felt very nervous and I was scared and I felt like self-conscious and, you know, you just want to hide. But it was a small gym just for students because I was a student at the time. And it just like you go to the treadmill in the back of the corner where you feel like no one can see you. You start slow and then you have to fight through the nervousness. And then every day it got a little bit less scary to go there. And it became something that I could eventually look forward to and actually enjoy for the first time. So yeah, just pushing through the nervousness. It was there, definitely. Like I said, I was not in a good place with myself. So you're very self-conscious the entire time, but pushing through, definitely worth it. And you just have to do it. It's cliche, but just doing it, having that power moment, going through with it, it's sometimes all it takes to get the ball rolling, and then you're at it.
So did you stick to that? Were you very consistent, or did you kind of go through some ups and downs with it at the beginning?
Very many ups and downs. I mean, from 2012 to 2018, my weight shifted like crazy. Because, you know, when you love carbs and you go on a low carb diet, it's not the smartest thing to do to cut out the food you really like, though it worked. So I remember like a week after I started, I went on the weight and it showed that I had lost 1 kilo. And that could be completely random, like probably just water. I mean, you don't lose a kilo of fat in a week. But that gave me like the push to, oh my God, this is actually working. So I can keep going. But then after some time, you know, your friends come back to town, summer is over, and you fall into your routines of taking the easier choices in food and especially alcohol. I have had a lot of years with a lot of drinking, which is very normal here. Like for students, we might get drunk 2 or 3 times a week. So it was not a healthy lifestyle because it was an hour at the gym. And then there was during the week trying to go low carb, but then the weekend came and there was just alcohol and crisps and everything you could eat because it was the weekend. And then so we were like stuck in a loop of healthy and unhealthy choices the entire time. So it went in general in the right direction for a pretty long time, and I stuck with the gym. The gym, I think I've been going a few times a week ever since. There's never been a break. But for me, the struggle has always been finding the balance in food and in my day-to-day life, making healthy choices with everything and not just going to the gym, because 1 hour at the gym won't help if the 23 other hours are bad.
When you first started, did you have anybody to help you out with advice or with some education or anything like that?
I Googled a lot, and I have a friend, and she was very much like, she was into this weightlifting thing or the gym before me, though she was always very slim and she wanted to build mass, and I was the other way around. But she could show me a few things, and she was the one who one day, we were randomly at the gym at the same time, and she was like, you should try my workout. Like, I can teach you how to squat, how to bench press, how to deadlift. And I was like, oh, but I can't do anything. I can just do this. And then she started showing me, I think just for a few sessions, maybe 2 or 3 or something, her and her boyfriend, who was a personal trainer, showed me just the general movements of these 3 lifts. So they started kind of pointing me away from the machines and the treadmill and into the proper weights, which I'm very thankful for. And we just started noticing how fast I was getting strong. Of course, it's natural since I was still kind of a big girl, but also even faster than a lot of other girls at the gym. The numbers were increasing higher than the other people around me. So that was a very big moment for me to realize that, wow, I can actually be good at something that's a physical activity. Who knew?
Did you enjoy that physically as well as mentally?
Yeah, definitely. That was a big change in my mindset, like having to go from, oh, I'm useless in all of these things and don't look at me and blah, 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 and over to actually being able to do something a little bit better than someone else. And that was just mind blowing for me. And it gave me a sort of confidence. Like, then you walk into the gym a bit more proud, because I'm going to do something kind of cool now that maybe someone else can't, but I can. And that gave you a boost, especially to keep going. And my friend, the same one who helped me or showed me these exercises, she was always trying to get me to understand the process of calories too, that I shouldn't be going on diets and teas and trying everything. But she was like, you need to sleep more, eat more protein, eat lala. And I was like, no, I just need to lift and do this. And yeah, I don't know. It's just all a big learning process, trying to figure out what actually works for me in my daily life. And then I got a coach after some time.
I think a lot of people struggle too with one side of that. Either they're really dedicated to diet, nutrition, they're really dedicated to the gym, and they kind of struggle with the other side of it. And I know I think it's because at least they both take so much dedication that when you try to do them both, sometimes it takes a while to, and I think it like you said at the beginning, whenever you try to dive all in at one time, it's too much. So if you just get really good and get used to and make that part of your lifestyle, and then kind of throw the other thing in as you're going, instead of, like you kind of said, all at once, it's a little bit easier to create that long-term lifestyle.
Definitely. And I remember when I discovered oh yeah, proteins are important. Cool. Then everything I was eating, it has to be protein. I need a protein bar. I can't eat chocolate. And then on the other side of me, I was getting drunk in the weekend and sleeping average 5 or 6 hours, but obsessing over protein. It didn't make any sense. If you can't, if you want to get strong, if you want to be healthy, you need to freaking sleep, and you need to eat vegetables and fruits and everything. Nobody cares if there's 10 grams of protein in a bar or if it's a normal chocolate, if you're sleep deprived 24/7. So finding that, discovering that took a while, because you always read about these fast diets and these fast ways to do anything, because you don't want to realize that it took you 25 years to get to where you're at. You're not going to get to where you want to be in 25 days. Yeah. So having that patience and finding that balance, that's the most important thing. And I'm happy I know now, but I wonder how I could have figured it out earlier. But again, my coach found him in 2015 and he's still my coach. I got him when I figured out that powerlifting was an actual sport. Never heard of it, never knew it was a thing. Just knew that I was strong in the 3 lifts. So, and then someone told me about him and everything. And then ever since then, he's been by my side, helping me with everything.
What was that kind of like aha moment where you figured out, oh, I can do this as a sport? Like, did somebody say something about it? Did you see like something online, or what was it?
I'm not actually sure. I think I started posting a bit on Instagram, like a lift I did that I think I did 5 times 100 kilos or something. And then in squats. And then I posted it. And then people were like, whoa, is she training? And then I'm guessing a different friend of mine who knew someone in powerlifting was like, yeah, this girl can squat 5 times 100 kilos. Can you show her a powerlifting club or show her what you do? Like, so it was just a connection through friends where they saw like, oh, she's lifting, maybe she wants to look at this. And then someone took me to a powerlifting club and I was like, whoa, people do this. And only that. I had only seen bodybuilding and bikini fitness and stuff like that as a sport. And that was never like, or I probably went through the same phase as everyone who starts lifting, like imagining yourself on a stage and everything. But no, it's never been about the looks for me. It's performance based. And that's why powerlifting became such a big thing, because it's only when you get into the sport, you can see that it's about performance and lifting heavy and being like, come as you are and do the best you can. And it's you versus you kind of a thing. And it doesn't matter what you weigh or what you look or how much you can lift. You just start from where you're at. And that's what I love about powerlifting, because it can basically be for everyone.
So when you first went into the powerlifting gym, was it intimidating?
Yeah. Yeah. I was very scared. I like the first time I went there, I brought I brought my gym bag and everything I needed to train, but I didn't train. Because it was a very small club and there was already so many people and people were sharing racks and sharing stuff. And when you don't know like the rules or how things normally go, I didn't have the confidence to go in there and be like, hey, I also want to train. I was just more like sitting in the corner, just looking. And then I was like, okay, I've seen this place now. Thank you. Bye. And I left. And then I went back to my commercial gym and I stayed training at a commercial gym because I was still intimidated by the thought of a powerlifting club, because I didn't feel like I was good enough or strong enough, and I felt like it would be hard to get into that environment that was there and get to know people. Like, it felt like the club part of it was scary. While at the commercial gym, you could just go in and be alone and do your thing and get out. And then that was more suitable for me at the moment. So I stayed in the commercial gym up until I started full time at the powerlifting club last October, actually.
When you first went in and you said you just kind of like observed and were kind of nervous about working out with other people you didn't know and all that kind of thing, when you left, were you a little discouraged at all?
I didn't really feel low. It was more like, oh, okay, that's not for me, being in a club, because I feel like you need to really know someone. It would have been different if it was my friend taking me there, but I didn't know the person who took me there either. And so there was this like awkwardness and shyness. And when you're, like I said, I've been overweight most of my life, and you kind of work up this shy, or I did at least. I was very self-conscious the entire time. So you couldn't seem rude or arrogant, but in reality, you're just keeping to yourself as a shield. So that's what I kind of felt like. I went in there and I was like, I don't know if they saw me as shy or rude or which part of me they thought I was, but I just left there and thinking, I'm not ready to, like, if they don't drag me in and want me there, then I'm not going. Because then you feel unwanted because you're so self-conscious and unsure of yourself, if that makes sense. I have a very outgoing, the part of me growing up was very much the outgoing, loud, funny person, as you often tend to be, to shield yourself again. Like, hey, here am I, like, I'm here, I'm going to make fun of myself before anyone else does. And I have that side of me. It's very still strong, but it's also the self-consciousness that it's two different sides battling. The shy side won that day. But now, like, I'm at a different powerlifting club now, and I started going there. I still feel the same, or I felt the same way when I started going there. Like, here I am just coming here to lift, and I don't know the rules or the norms of this place, so I don't know how it's okay to act. But then after some time, you get to know people, and they were more welcoming and more like, you could start off small and just show up once a week maybe. And then now it ended up with me quitting the commercial gym and just going full-time powerlifting, which has been very good for both my lifting and my like social life and everything.
What was the factor that kind of drug you into that powerlifting gym? Why did you make the decision to switch?
The thing is that now with like, you always have to be a member of a powerlifting club to be able to compete or show up at meets. So I just chose a club that I could be a member of, that I heard good things about, and I knew some people who were in there. And I just, if I had a competition, I would go train the last month at the powerlifting club just to lift with proper equipment, because it's pretty big change from a commercial gym bench and bumper plates to iron. So, but then when Corona came, like, we had another lockdown in October. So all the gyms closed, but not for athletes. So if you are on the national team, you were still allowed to train. And at that point, that's when the national team picked me, or like someone at the powerlifting club contacted the national team saying like, hey, she's probably going to get picked next time you pick people anyway. So can you pick her now, so that she can train at our club, so she doesn't have to like ruin herself and her furniture at home to try to get a workout in. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I started feeling at home there, because you were only the like the national athletes who were allowed to train for a few weeks. So when I went there, you were only meeting maybe 2 or 3 people. And that makes it a lot easier to get to know someone and feel more welcome, because, hey, it's just me and you here. I guess we have to talk to each other and get to know each other. So for the self-conscious side of me, that was a very good way for me to ease into that environment, because then you got to know those people. And when it opened up again, you knew that when you entered, at least you knew 2 or 3 of them.
How long did you train until you were noticed by a national team? Was it something you were kind of expecting to happen, or was it just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy kind of thing?
Both. Because that, like, becoming or getting picked out for the national team became a dream in 2015, because my coach said that, I remember it very well when he said it for the first time, like, if you keep training like this, you're going to end up on the national team one day. And that was so shocking for me, like, knowing like that someone believed that I could do that. Like, I had no faith in it for myself, but him saying that, like, being a coach, knowing his stuff and me trusting him, I was just like, wow, if he thinks I can do it, then maybe I actually can. And from 2015, like, I set a goal to drop weight classes, because when I started with my coach, I was around somewhere in the 80 kilos. Then we started setting a goal for me to drop a weight class. I developed some I became so focused on losing weight and dropping the weight class. So like, my life suddenly turned into me caring about numbers. What was I lifting? What was I weighing? What was I eating? What was I sleeping? Like, everything was just, it has to be exactly like this. If not, I'm a failure. Because I hadn't been working on my mindset to the point where you believe you are worthy no matter what the outcome of what you do is. So it was basically like, either I make this weight class and I become a champion, or I am useless. So it became like a very strict and unhealthy relationship with both the gym and food and everything. I was like spiraling into something very negative. And we set a goal for me to drop down to the 63 kilo weight class by the nationals in 2016. And that was something I thought I had to do. It was not something I genuinely felt like I wanted to do. So I failed. And I remember the moment where I weighed myself a few months before, like where you have to sign up for which weight class you're going in. And I remember realizing I wasn't going to make it. And I completely like broke down, wanted to quit everything because, you know, when you don't work on your mind, your body can change, you can become stronger, you can reach your goals, but it's going to catch up with you if you don't work on your mindset. And that was the first time I tried reaching the 63 kilo. And when I failed, I wanted to quit everything. And it just became like a big reset button of me evaluating what I need to do with my life, basically. And I ended up applying for and spending a year in Zambia in Africa as a volunteer for sports, where I ended up gaining back all the weight I had lost and more. And but I still kept training. But I was living with a host family, and again, a lot of drinking and going out. This was 2017 to 2018. So I was still training, maintaining my strength. My coach had my back the entire way, but it became like a leap year from all the pressure I had put on myself and the weight loss, it just became a break because I needed something different. So I wasn't active powerlifting, but I was training and gaining weight, basically.
Did that help your mind at all? Or what was kind of the turning point of just figuring out that you needed to work on your mind and then you started to work on it?
My coach has been annoyingly pushing on me having to work on my mind because he noticed early that, okay, she is way too fragile and focusing on her results as being a direct impact on her worth, kind of. And so we had been working on it on and off, but I had never accepted the way things were. And I would so going to Zambia for that year, it was basically like a restart button, because there, when I was gaining weight, like you were you're gaining weight, you're getting fat, good for you. That means you're happy. And it was like, whoa, here people don't care what you lift. They don't care what you eat. They don't care what you look like. They don't it was just take me as I am kind of experience. And that was refreshing, and also letting go of control. All the control that I had made in my life where everything was about reaching these numbers. I didn't have any of that. I chose not to weigh myself the entire year, and I chose to eat what I was served most of the time, unless it was horrible. And I still kept going to the gym because I knew I was going to be happy that I did that when I came back to Norway after the 10 months. So yeah, training 4 times a week just to train, not having these big ambitions or goals or anything. So it was a very necessary reset button for me to go away for that year. And when I came back in June 2018, I was 86 kilos again. And I was just like, okay, now you have all this knowledge, all this experience. You've been through so many ups and downs. And if you can take everything you have learned and combine it with your willpower and with your help from your coach and with this new mindset of yours, then you can do this. You can lose weight for the last time and do it in a healthy, balanced way where you'll be happy at the same time. I set some standard rules for myself. I set some goals, and I was just like, let's see where this takes me. No matter where I go, it's okay.
That's such a challenge for so many people to just understand that it's not tied to your self-worth, your diet or your physical activity, going to the gym, hitting these numbers. It's just, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's just it's a part of your life. It's not the whole thing. And yeah. Did you feel like that people there were more personal when personal connection was more important than just the aesthetics of everything?
It was basically just how you were treating people. It was just welcoming and getting to know each other, and me lifting weights, a girl. It was also very because I lived in a very small town there, and basically the only white person and the only girl lifting weights. So I was standing out and the only one with tattoos. It was a challenge because you always had to like defend, like, yeah, but I like lifting weights and it's okay for me, even though I'm a girl. And so they were basically a bit behind in that development. That's very natural. Yeah, it was basically just about who I was as a person, and not, they didn't know anything about me. It was just take me out of what everyone else knew, put me in a different culture, different perspective, everything completely different, switching my world around. Then me, as cliche as it sounds, finding myself again. Or just realizing, what do I genuinely want to do, and what do I want to do, not what do I feel like I have to do to be good enough.
There's so little to like actually tell us who we are besides like what we do and our habits and all these things. And when you kind of, like you said, get put somewhere else, you can mentally, I guess, become another person. The same, you could do it no matter where you are, but I feel like it could be easier if you go somewhere else, because everything is just like fresh. There's not those same places you would go to if you were back home. There's not those same habits or the same people that maybe see you a certain way, so then you see yourself a certain way.
Yeah, and you're just like you mentioned, like the way people look at you and the expectations people have from you, like, okay, there she is and she said she's going to do this and she loves that and she's this type of person, blah blah. You can get stuck in that loop, and then ending up some place where no one knows you or anything about you and they have no expectations. You can just become yourself again. Of course, it was very challenging to be there too. Like, you're very lonely or always getting attention. I was always surrounded by people, but only one knowing my struggles and my culture. And I'm not going to lie, the gaining weight was hard when you had like giving up. It felt like I was giving up also. Though I tried to make healthy choices, it was very limited. Like, for a girl who had been on low carb, it was weird to eat rice with the side of potatoes for dinner. Ultimately, I'm so happy I had that experience, because it was a reset, and gaining all that weight and everything, it was just a way for me to heal, kind of.
Did you find yourself maybe becoming, or like feel like you could feel yourself, or you thought like in your head, am I becoming somebody that I'm not in any way?
I was more free. In Zambia, it was more like, okay, I can basically do what feels right for me to some extent. Of course, you're in a different culture. You have to, and living in a host family, you can't do just whatever you want, because you're the one who chose to come there. So you have to adapt to the culture and how everything works. But it was a very well-fitting culture for me in a lot of ways. And I felt very much at home with the people and with the way they did things. And it was just, it felt more like I could be more me, not becoming someone I was not. I think I was heading down that road before I left, because I felt forced to keep going in the direction that I wanted, even though I didn't genuinely have that passion for it inside. I just felt like I had to do that to be successful or to be liked or to accomplish anything.
So when you came back and you had that new kind of mindset going into life, really, I guess as a whole, did that really change your dedication to powerlifting? Like, did it make you a better powerlifter?
Yeah. When I came home, I told myself, like, you don't ever have to be a powerlifter again if you don't want to. No one is expecting anything from you. You just have to do what feels right and set these goals. And I didn't, like, it was important for me to not get into the loop of caring, like, of losing weight for looks again, but losing weight to feel healthy and strong. And I knew that my favorite way of working out is lifting heavy weights. So it was not powerlifting that was the goal when I came back. It was more, I am familiar with this type of working out and I know it's something I like doing. So I'm going to do that type of lifting still and increase my daily activity, focus on my sleep, eat more vegetables and fruits. So like just small goals, very accomplishable, but I'm still going to like go out drinking, go out eating and go and do the things I really love doing. Because if I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, you can't, like I mentioned in the beginning, you can't remove something you genuinely feel happy about or love and then expect it to work out long term. So finding that balance, and I just started, didn't set any weight goal, didn't set any weight class. I just, let's build strength again and lose weight at a healthy, balanced pace while having my coach, while training like a powerlifter. But it was important for me to tell myself that it was okay if I never entered a competition again, because I didn't want that to be a defining goal. But I ended up back in it anyway, and I'm glad I did.
So you ended up on that, getting selected for the national team, but what does that really mean? Like, what does that entail, being a part of the national team?
I'm not really sure, because I got picked in the fall, and then again now, because they pick 1st of January and 1st of July for the next season. But because of Corona, there has been no athlete meetup. I think they normally do, all the national team, they go to the capital city in Oslo and train together and get follow-up and do testing and everything. But we haven't been able to do anything. We haven't even had any competition since I got picked. So right now, I'm just eagerly waiting for an international competition, because they choose from the team. So my goal and my hope is to be sent somewhere to compete with the Norwegian flag on my chest, this fall. I want to compete in a new weight class that I've never competed in before. And it's just, so being on the national team, I guess it's just right now doesn't mean anything else other than I signed a contract that I'm going to prioritize powerlifting, and that they can tell me that I need to come here and compete there if I can, and they can choose me for competitions, and I can, and of course, drug testing and everything. But it hasn't really changed anything yet, but I'm hoping it will when Corona allows.
You mentioned kind of when you can possibly get together, do the training, do all that stuff. Is there as of now, is there some kind of virtual community where you can kind of get together with the people that are also on the team and get to know them a little bit, or kind of figure out a little bit what they're doing? Is there anything like that?
No, I think they used to have that, but they don't even do that now. But there are people in my powerlifting club who are also on the team. We talk, and being in the powerlifting club, it's enough when it comes to that kind of, because you're still just powerlifters training together who understand each other. And we all take long breaks, lift few reps, and do the standard powerlifting stuff. And you can help each other with technique. And there's a lot of very good people, very smart people in the club. So just being at the powerlifting club now is more the step I took to be a more serious powerlifter. Removing myself from the commercial gym and the gym bros and the unsolicited advice and everything that comes with it, and taking myself into a more serious arena for powerlifting. Hopefully sometime in the summer, maybe we can meet up all the people on the team, and they have to choose someone to send for competitions. So fingers crossed.
When it comes to the competition, does the team choose one person from that weight class to go to it, or are there several different people out of it? How does that work?
It's maximum 2 people per weight class they send. And there are some rules where if you have to be in the top some kind of percentage of where you are competing. I doubt that they'll send someone who they can see that, they send the top 2 people who are most prepared and strongest the closer you come to the competition. So top 2 per weight class. Yeah. And you have to be in a percentage that can get some sort of good result, I think.
When it comes to the national level and competing there, does the location of those competitions kind of move around?
Yeah, they rotate. I mean, different powerlifting clubs or places apply to be the one hosting. So actually the World Championship is going to be here in Norway, but that's equipped lifting though. But the equipped powerlifting championship, the world one, is in Stavanger here in Norway in November, actually.
As a powerlifter, do you find it interesting to go to other competitions and check out other lifters?
Yeah, I definitely, when there's competitions to go to that's not too far out of my way, I love going to watch other people lift, because that's one of the most inspiring things for me. I think seeing other people reaching their goals and being passionate about something gives me very much that inner spirit too. So even though I'm not an equipped lifter, I'll definitely go to Stavanger to watch and support, because we have a lot of very strong people in the national team that are going to be lifting in Stavanger. So I can't wait to see that. But the World Championship for Classic, the powerlifting that I do, is in Minsk in September. It's supposed to be.
And is that looking like it's still gonna happen?
Right now, it looks like it can, because of all the vaccinations, and it would be a certain world level. So it's not just a normal small competition. So I'm hoping I can get picked to go, because that would be cool.
The lifespan of a power lifter when it comes to competing at that very top level, how long would you expect to be kind of at that peak level?
I think in my 40s. If you look at the world records and the lifters and everything, people just freaking keep getting stronger. And as long as you stay healthy and injury free, I mean, you can keep powerlifting until you die, basically. And you can see the records and the peaking, everything, like it's way later in your 30s or beginning of 40s or maybe even later. So I love that there's no time limit, like that I've peaked already, because I haven't. I've only been doing this for a very short amount of time. So I can still, and I've been losing weight a lot the last 3 years and just maintaining my strength. So I'm excited for the next chapter where I just want to maintain my weight and build my strength.
I think it is crazy. Just like you said, you've only been doing it for such a short amount of time, and to have this much success in it is pretty cool. I don't know if that's something that happens a lot, but it doesn't feel like it would happen that much.
No, and I think a lot of people are very surprised, myself included, that I have been able to lose that much weight and still lift the same. Of course, some of it is genetics, and I'm lucky. But also it's taking it one step at a time, showing up no matter low energy, low calorie, low everything, like keep doing it, find the consistency and then keep lifting. And I just managed to do it. But yeah, so many people have told me they never thought I would be able to get the Norwegian record, like lifting the same in a lower weight class, but I did. So now my goal is to lift the same in another weight class lower, just to show people that you can.
Yeah. When did you accomplish that?
That was February 2020. It was a regional competition, and it would be my first time lifting in the 63 kilo. I went from weighing 86 in June 2018. Then I competed in the nationals the next summer in the 72 kilo. Then the next year I competed in the 63, where I took the Norwegian record. It was at 163 kilos, but I bumped it up to 170 at the regional competition. And it is one of the coolest things I have ever done in my life, without a doubt. Yeah, it was just really cool to finally accomplish something that I had been a dream, which was the Norwegian squat record, because that's something also me and my coach talked about way back, that maybe one day, and then it never happened. But finally, when you never give up, it came. It was just such a huge moment, because especially looking back at how I grew up with physical activity and where I came from, like knowing that I would one day be on the national team with a Norwegian record, going for an international competition and one day setting international records. It's just, no one in my life would ever have expected that, knowing how I grew up and everything. So it shows when you find something you're truly passionate about and something you genuinely enjoy doing, like there's no limit to what you can achieve if you actually want it. And I think that's the biggest difference. Thinking you should want something, thinking other people are thinking that you should, instead of what you genuinely want. I think that's what makes the biggest difference. You'll work on finding solutions and working around all your obstacles to get to where you want to be, because you genuinely want to go there. If you don't genuinely want to go there, and that's what I try to talk to people who tell me they want to lose weight too. If you genuinely want to, then you'll find a way to work around your busy schedule, or making the good choices, or just a few good choices are better than no good choices, and all of that. When you genuinely want to, you can't do it. But if you keep saying, oh, I should lose weight, because you feel like it's something you should and you don't genuinely want to, then you find the excuses, and then you go like, oh, but I can't because of this, I can't because of my schedule, my kids, my food, all of these things. But when you genuinely want to, you're more like, but what can I do to go around these things and get to my goal? So I think a lot of people struggle to actually feel like, do I want this or not? Do I just think I want it? And way too many people think they want, when in reality, that little extra weight is all those great experiences with going out to eat, going out to drink, eating what you love, like being social. Like, why would you get rid of that if you're healthy and happy with the way things are? There's no reason you need to change.
If you want to let people know where they can find you,
definitely feel free to contact me at Ginzy on Instagram, and I'll do what I can to help and to inspire. That's what I'm here for.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate your time and sharing a little bit today about your journey and your experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.